Hey y'all, so Emily and I had the Agreeing to Talk About Race article. The Agreeing to Talk About Race article focuses on the Courageous Conversation program. The program centers around tearing down racial tensions and ignorance within schools. The article went through the 4 commitments educators should make to stay engaged, experience discomfort, speak their truth, and expect and accept not getting closure when engaging in discussions about race. It's important for educators to develop their racial consciousness. To do this, white educators might have to acknowledge the inequality that exists in their school, while educators of color might have to analyze their knowledge of institutionalized racism. It's important for educators to actively move from a state of racial ignorance through a process of racial education and discussion to a final outcome of increased knowledge and then continuing their exploration of race in the classroom. This will in turn help them be more effective. The first step when engaging in school-wide dialogue about race is to stay engaged, even if there are others who aren't paying attention. The article explains that you might feel an urge to change the subject or deflect a comment, especially as a white educator, but being engaged means you have to resist that. This means you will experience discomfort and might feel uncertainty about the response to your comments, but total honesty will unlimit the dialogue. White and colored teachers alike might fear sounding selfish or being misunderstood, but honest thoughts will lead to better understandings. Silence dialogue occurs when people of color, whether it be a fellow teacher or a parent, feels a white educator's dominance in conversation and stays silent out of fear of being wrong or misunderstood. The white educator then might take the silence as agreement, not depicting an accurate discussion. The second step in courageous conversation is speaking your truth. This requires one to be absolutely honest about their thoughts, feelings, opinions, and experiences when talking about race. If we can't do this, the conversation will be limited and ultimately ineffective. Many times, people are too careful to try to not offend anyone or afraid of sounding ignorant. Also, dismissal can be common when people of color share their experiences, which can encourage silence. This can lead to misconceptions and misreputation, as people can take silence as agreeing with them. Speaking one's truth is therefore essential to these conversations. The final step is accepting and expecting non-closure. This kind of conversation has no end, and it's important to commit to an ongoing dialogue. Normally, schools search for solutions for challenges they face. However, in courageous conversation, the solution is revealed in the process of dialogue itself. If this conversation of race is left open, people will continue to talk more and thusly learn more. This article is significant because it helps to prepare school systems and educators for honest, progressive, and unhindered discussions about race in the classroom. It helps start the conversation in a healthy and productive environment so that they can continue and evolve like they need to. The outline of the commitments promotes school-wide dialogue while also allowing educators to enter at their own unique pace. This helps avoid overwhelming and thus repelling educators who might be new to racial discussions. Committing to the article's steps will help raise the educators' racial consciousness and make them more effective with students. While courageous conversation can be broken down to 4 steps, this may not be what is needed for every single school. Since everyone begins at a unique pace, this process might need more steps added depending on the school. While some individuals may need to work on their initial understanding of what race is, some need to understand how it impacts their lives, while others need to be ready for analyzing how race affects the program, departments, and even school-wide policy. To know if additional supplemented steps are needed, one should consider the individual culture of the school. Just as this dialogue is ever changing and developing, steps can be added and developed with time as the conversation grows and changes. After this, the most important thing to do is to begin the conversation ready to share openly and listen intently.